those drinks. Cause I ain't worried about what somebody gon' think, and I ain't worried about what somebody gon' see. Nothing y'all can do, y'all cannot control me. Brainstorm, y'all minds got a slow leak. Brainwaves crash, this is getting so deep. Everybody, every time I go speak, don't believe the hype, then it's what you gon' see. I can't be controlled. I can't be controlled. I can't be controlled. There's no stopping us now. I can't be controlled. Cause we're not in the crowd. I can't be controlled. You can't stop us right now. I can't be controlled. No, I can't be controlled. If I don't wanna be there, then it's time for me to go. Money is the motor, so if y'all don't even know there's nothing you can do to buy me, y'all are finally exposed. Hold up, man, you know that I'm honestly the GOAT, and I'm all good like I'm trying to be the Pope. If you talking money, then it's gotta be a joke. But if the money talks, I estimate it's gotta be a quote. Oh my God, man, you can't lie to me, I'll know. So really, if you try it, then you gotta be exposed. Headstrong, even when my mind is getting old. But even so, you need to know that no, I can't be controlled.
All too familiar with pain, all too familiar with pride. I've been on my knees 6 but gotten up 7 times. It was never even a question of is it gonna be mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. I've been watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever.
The deepest waters won't take me. The highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of
The
time.
deepest waters won't take me. The highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
I'm taking it to the sky. I'm never taking a break, I'm only taking what's mine. You say it's taking too long, I'm taking that as a sign. It's not a matter of faith, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something's standing in my way, I always push back. When something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever.
The deepest waters won't take me. The highest fall won't break me. Blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of
The
time.
deepest waters won't take me. The highest fall won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me.
I'ma get mine, just a matter of time. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
This is virtual racing with real-life stakes. Inches from the wall, you can feel it. The excitement, the emotion, the drama.
Great drivers perform when the pressure is at its highest. And that's right here, right now.
If I could put someone in the wall and not risk losing respect, I would do it.
It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
Began. Where tonight from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 13 of the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. As always, we're happy to have you strapped into the virtual seat and along for the ride with us, streaming live on the iRacing Sports Network at eNASCAR.com, where alongside Tim Terry, my name is Evan Pasoko, and Tim, happy to be back to where it all started in February for our second trip of the year to the Daytona High Banks.
We were here a couple of weeks ago for the road course, but now we're going super speedway racing. And Evan, if you look back to February, that was an intense race. If this is anything like the opener, we're in for one heck of a show. Strap in, this is going to be good.
Yeah, and in that thrilling season opener, it was Keegan Leahy who went to victory lane for his first of 2 race wins this season. So who better than him to jump on board with? Here's Keegan with your Daytona International Speedway lap guide.
I'm Keegan Leahy, driver of the number 32 Direct Force Pro Camry, and I'm going for another win at Daytona with Denny Hamlin Racing. Alright, getting ready to start our lap here. This is not a qualifying lap. This is what the race lap will look like for the leader, likely keeping it pinned right next to that yellow line all the way around the track. Getting ready for turn 1 here, this banking really helps us turn. Our only job here is to make sure we don't bump into that apron and then wash up the track, or just generally moving up into that second groove and causing a crash. The banking really falls away right there, exit of turn 2. Very difficult to keep it down on that yellow line. We want to make sure we're positioned to the left, because otherwise we might end up getting hit in the left rear from the guy behind us. Now turn 3, you want to turn a little bit to the right to avoid getting sucked into that apron there. Just how the banking's set up. There's a bump right there in the middle of 3 and 4 though. That can upset the car for sure. Exit of 4 is a little bit easier than exit of 2. You still have that banking. And now coming up on the tri-oval, hey, as long as it's not the last lap of the race, you should probably keep it off of that apron.
So that's what your race winner from earlier this season here at Daytona had to say coming into this one. And Tim, he's also going to have a pretty good starting position as we get set to go racing, and you are standing by with him now.
Okay, Keegan, a lot has changed since February within this series and within the world. What's changed at Daytona International Speedway? What do we expect tonight, and do we see this 32 car back in victory lane?
Well, I did 2 practice races last night. We did some public official racing in A Open. The first race was a win for me. The second race, I finished pretty much last and almost upside down. So, that kind of tells me it's about a 50-50 shot of doing well tonight. The car's fast. I did well in qualifying. I didn't catch the wind gust. It's pretty random with how the wind situation is, but my colleague Bobby Zelensky with VRS, he got pole and we're on the same setup. So definitely happy with the car. We got speed and I just want a decent finish, but definitely going for the win.
How big is it to have the cushion in the points coming in, obviously leading the points? Everybody's looking for that cutoff. How big is it to go in here with that little bit of a points cushion?
I I'm just thankful I have that cushion because there's a crazy thunderstorm going on outside. I don't know if you hear that one, Tim, where you're at, but it's pretty crazy out there right now, and I'm hoping the power doesn't go out. So, that's what that cushion really protects me from is random issues, crashes, stuff like that. If I finish last, sure, it sucks, but I'm not going to fall out of the playoffs immediately because of that. So that's what that is to me. It means freedom to go for wins and kind of be, go or go home type of situation.
Well, we wish you all the best tonight. Good luck, and let's hope Nova Scotia Power is on our side.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. See ya.
That's Keegan Leahy getting ready to go racing at Daytona International Speedway. This one is going to be good. We'll see who can dodge everything this evening and end up in victory lane.
John Gorlinski was joking earlier, is a 1 in 40 chance to win it. It's a toss-up. Anybody can end into victory lane here from Daytona. That being said, practice qualified. It is all behind us. So as we get set to go racing, let's go down trackside, turn up the music as we get set to drop the green flag for round 13. And on pole position, it is Bobby Zelensky with a 46.366. He starts on pole for every single race at Daytona this season, barely squeaking out atop Logan Clampett, who's going to join him on the front row. Nathan Lyon, Jarl Tiemann going to double up for third and fourth position. Nick Ottinger starts on the inside of row 3, along with your top 6 cars, Chris Shearburn.
You got some heavy hitters here. Graham Bolin will roll off the outside of row number 4. We talked to Keegan Leahy inside row number 5. How about Ray Alfala outside row number 6, starting 12?
Yeah, a lot of guys now. Middle of the pack is going to be the chaos. The likes of Phil Diaz, Corey Vincent mid-pack, Blake Reynolds, Michael Conti, Malik Ray, and Matt Busa through your top 18.
You look back through the field, Chris Overland always strong at these super speedways. Justin Bolton outside row number 11, and Brad Davies looking to end this one in victory lane.
Teammate to the cars up front, you got Casey Kerwin there on the inside of row 13. Now on the next line, the likes of Ryan Luza, defending champ Zach Novak needs points, but he's got a long road to hoe. The outside of row number 17, Alex McCollum, Bob Bryant through the outside of row number 18, and then it is just Steve Sheehan behind them to make up the starting grid of 37 cars here from Daytona. So, of course, the 2.5-mile super speedway, Tim, is not going to give us too many surprises. It's been a staple on this season, all 10 years of this championship, but tonight may be a little bit different than what the summer race has been here in years past, so walk us through it with tonight's ASUS race analysis.
Well, we're going to go the same length that we did back in February. It's going to be 100 laps here this evening, 250 miles around this racetrack. Fuel window's about 33 to 38 laps, but they can go a little bit further if they have to. Should be a 2-stop race if this thing stays green. They got plenty of tires for it. 4 sets of tires here this evening. Pit road speed, 55 miles an hour. And Keegan Leahy was our last winner here, of course, back in February. And when you look at the weather, we got 76 degrees, wind speed 6 to 7. It's been whipping around a little bit. It goes up to 9 or 10. Track temp is around the mid-70s as well, and a partly cloudy skies. This one is going to be awesome tonight.
Yeah, a lot of drivers talking about how that wind was affecting them in their qualifying runs using realistic and dynamic weather. There is no real way to predict how that reacts, just like in real life. As these drivers are going nearly 200 miles an hour in a pack as they get set to roll off a pit lane, we will be taking multiple onboard looks with them over the course of the night. As the field rolls off and into turn number 1, not only are we going to have the ability to get the look inside the virtual cars, but there's the look from home. There's the drivers in their sim rigs, ready to rock for round number 13 on 2020. You can see all the various setups, and we'll be taking a look into with those as this race progresses here tonight, Tim. But 4 races left to go in this regular season. Tonight, so critical, not only, of course, full race points on the line, but with the unpredictability of it. If I'm a driver just outside the top 10, maybe 15th or so, tonight's going to be huge for me.
I think so, too. I think the main question for me was, what was on Steve Sheehan's head?
Yeah, a lot of drivers got a lot to think about. Let's join our third member of our broadcast team. Justin Prince going to be with us all night on Pit Road. Justin?
Hey, guys. Talking with many of the drivers in preparation for tonight. Minor tweaks for many of the drivers' setups, but there's a lot of anxiety for tonight's action. Speaking with Logan Clampett, he mentioned that there's a lot more pressure tonight with drivers knowing where they are in the points and where they have to finish for tonight.
And of course, the best seat in the house goes to pole sitter Bobby Zalenski. It is his 9th career pole that ties him for 4th most in series history with Keegan Leahy. And it's fun because, of course, it was Bobby on pole 2 weeks ago at the road course, the first driver to get back-to-back poles in this series since Keegan did it earlier this year for rounds 2 and 3 in Fontana and Homestead. Field paces behind the pace car at a turn number 4 and get a dive down to the safety of pit road. And he'll hand things over to the 83 of Bobby Zalenski, where we say, let's go racing from Daytona. We're off. It's round 13. And lap number 1 goes to the outside of the 25 of Nick Ottinger. The 6 car, Nathan Lyon, tucks in line. And we are racing here at Daytona, working lap number 2 of 100. Keegan Leahy had an issue there coming to the green flag. You heard him talking about in the pre-race interview the concerns with some weather in the area. He's reconnecting to the race, but he is already going to be multiple laps down. That's where that big points cushion, Tim, comes in handy. Not that you ever want to have to use it, but you never know what could happen, and tonight it looks like it's going to be in handy.
Evan, I can tell you that I just got the same spike in Halifax, so I know what Keegan Leahy is going through, but he'll have to dig deep here and maybe hope for a couple of cautions and get a couple of free passes to get this thing back in order. But we didn't see a caution flag back here in February, and we look at the Timpax here this evening. First time since the first year, first time we've been here twice at Daytona at the Super Speedway back in 2010. Your winners, of course, Dale Jr. and John Gorlinski. Counting cautions, average caution count at Daytona and Talladega. You include those 2 super speedways, 16 races, 3.3. The average caution count at Daytona in 2 races is 0. 2 for 2, Bobby Zalenski, Nick Ottinger, Christian Chalner, and Logan Clampett each scored top 5 runs in the oval and road course races at Daytona in 2020 and share the lead the last 2 super speedway races, Evan. Talladega have had 15 and 14 different leaders respectively, 33 and 52 times the lead change, and we've got trouble. Matt Brooks is in the infield with Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds going to go through the grass. He'll hang on to it. Busa does as well. We saw that originate up by the 83 of Zalenski. No caution. We stay green, but they nearly gave us a caution to count coming to the completion of lap number 3. So a big wiggle. Looks like everybody's going to be okay. We stay green, and I thought maybe that would split up this pack a little bit. You can see the likes of the 5 back here further in traffic with Eric Smith, Kane Cook, some of the other drivers, but this lead pack is still on it, 2 wide throughout, including 2 drivers trying to make a 3rd lane work. That's the 36 machine. A Challenger, I believe, working with Malik Gray towards the front of the field as it is still Ottinger controlling on the inside, but at 6 and 8th, Lyon, who pushed him to the race lead, Tim, to get to the inside of the racetrack, has moved his Castrol Ford Mustang back up top, so we'll see if the 6 car wants to take a run at it.
And you see a 3rd line starting to form up there, but it's only 1. It's Chris Shearburn on the outside trying to make it happen. Malik Ray is kind of went to the outside and tempted it a little bit, but back to that 2nd group. Nathan Lyon in the 6 trying to get up here and make it happen. The 25 of Nick Ottinger, Bobby Zalenski, Logan Clampett. We talked about them getting top 5 runs at both Daytona races and doing fairly well, albeit very early in this one. They'll come by this time and complete 5 laps here at Daytona.
And now the next driver to go to the 3rd lane going to be the 10 of Justin Bolton, the Stuart Haase sports entry. And I mean, as soon as he gets up, they can see the big run that they have. They get alongside the 2 of Alfala. That is the VRS Chevy, 4th car in line in what is, I guess, the middle lane. Now that 3rd lane is trying to work, but it kind of stalls out there. They think they can hang their own ground per se, but they are going to need a little bit more support if they want this to be a viable option to challenge for the race lead. Let's take a second look, though, at all of that chaos, Tim, that nearly led to the first yellow.
Right on board here, and Blake Reynolds right ahead, and everything is just going to check up a little bit coming off of corner number 4. And when everything happens here, I mean, it happens so quickly down to the infield, and no harm, no foul for the most part. Great save by Busa through that grass to keep it straight.
You can see he actually dipped onto the pit lane, so that would be a speeding penalty, but the iRacing officials cleared that penalty since it was avoided an incident, and that was some nifty driving through the grass at about 170 miles an hour to avoid an incident, so we can stay green. And of course, you mentioned in that season opener, no yellows doesn't mean we got out of that one without wrecked race cars. We had plenty of them, but it wasn't also, I think, for lack of trying. We had what you're looking at now, 3 wide sustained all night long in that season opener, Tim, and tonight under the lights, I'm expecting a lot of the same.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of it here this evening, and we're going to see these guys, because they ran a open last night. A lot of these drivers have the experience as lately as last night to try to get around this racetrack. We'll see if that comes in handy.
So as we watch the action on track, I would welcome in tonight's special guest on the broadcast. It's Kyle Long, the 3-time Pro Bowler, as a member of the Chicago Bears, but we know him as the owner of Mode Motorsports. Kyle, thanks for chatting.
How are you, Evan? Thanks for having me. Happy to be here watching this Daytona race.
It should be a great night of action. Of course, Daytona is always fun, but I got to ask you, of course, your involvement in this series has been around for a while now, but riddle me this, how does an NFL football star first get involved with iRacing? I mean, tell us how that happened.
Well, Evan, I would have to say injuries and friends. I got injured. I couldn't play football, and my friend said, hey, you should try this. So when I got into it, I never really looked back. The only time I look back is to see how bad my 4X was. Other than that, I've been all iRacing since then. We've had a great time with Mode Motorsports, and looking forward to watching Phil and Jake finish up front this race.
Yeah, and Jake's representing pretty good. That number 24 is up there 4th in line on the bottom. So we mentioned Mode Motorsports, a property of Mode Media House. Tell us a bit about that and what your involvement is.
So Mode Media House did a great job when I first started getting into Twitch streaming, and they did a good job organizing and getting my roots set in the streaming community. And it's been a supportive company for my brand and what I've been trying to do for a long time.
So now you have a team in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. What is the value of participating in the top sim racing esports championship in the world, and virtual cars compete at that top level?
Well, you keep saying it's mine, but it's a team effort, as you know. JR Rodriguez,
watching you
guys over there at Mode, have done a great job making this thing happen. But I will say, having opportunities within NASCAR in real life, having a job at NASCAR.com now, iRacing has really afforded me all these opportunities, so I'm forever grateful there.
I think one of my favorite parts about this series is to see kind of that diversity amongst the team owners, NASCAR teams, drivers, people like yourself. And you mentioned all the folks over at Mode that have had an opportunity to chat with over the last year and a half. It's great to see them in this space as well. And we're happy to have you as you take a look at your driver right there.
That's a
good
top
10 on the left.
There, brother.
It is a nice looking paint scheme. I think I did a ranking list earlier this year, and I put it at the top. It's a nice looking ride. We're happy to have you on tonight's broadcast. And speaking of which, congratulations on your new deal with CBS. Where are we going to be hearing from you and seeing you coming up soon?
Yeah, well, thanks, Evan. I'm following in your footsteps. I'll go into broadcasting and analytic work. I'm going to be doing a lot of pregame, halftime, postgame analysis for the NFL, working out of New York City for CBS. So I'll change my uniform to a suit and a tie now.
Well, as long as we can still have you at least tune it in with us on Tuesdays, I guess we'll let you go and split your time. Kyle, thanks for being a part of this. Thank you for giving us your time here to chat tonight, and I'm sure we'll catch you down the road.
You got it, Evan. Go Mode.
The number 24 car right there, team owner for Mode Motorsports. That is the former Chicago Bears player, 3-time Pro Bowler, Kyle Long, working with Mode Motorsports and Mode Media House. He's got Jake Nichols up inside of the top 10, Tim, and to the point that I had mentioned, chatted with him. I mean, his car is next to a Williams esports car, which is behind a G2 esports car, an esports org. which is just inside of a Junior Motorsports Chevrolet, of course, the NASCAR Xfinity Series team owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. It's just such a melting pot in this championship. I love it.
Absolutely, and it's great to see these drivers running up front. And you look at that front row, you've got Joe Gibbs, or Gibbs Gaming, you've got Roush Fenway, you've got William Byron Esports, your top three, at least on those three lines that are running side by side by side. Then you got Logan Clampett pushing through with Burton Kligerman Esports, VRS to the inside, and Bobby Zielinski. You got a great melting pot up in front, as you put it, with these drivers that are running near the front of this field. I did see Bobby Zielinski flirt with that apron. Keegan Leahy said on his hot lap earlier, you want to stay off of that apron. Bobby Zielinski kind of flirted with it a couple laps ago, was able to keep it straight, but we haven't really seen that huge sense of urgency yet either, Evan. We've seen that third group start to form, but really no pushing and shoving per se in the first 14 laps.
Well, it's funny because as well, I mean, if I hopped into the sim, I would think that at any point if I was 3 wide, it would mean because I am pushing hard. And at this level of sim racing, 3 wide is just kind of like a Sunday drive. I mean, they're just hanging out here, biding their time. Of course, if there's no lane opened up, again, not at Talladega where the racetrack's a little bit wider. I don't suspect we're going to be pushing any more than 3 wide tonight. So it does make it a bit more difficult for some of the drivers further back to get through the field when there's less opportunities. That's why drivers have been using that third lane to make moves. You got somebody like a Ryan Luza, middle pack, 5 cars back in the middle line. Tim started 32nd in this race. We're only on lap 15, and he's on the doorstep of a top 10 running position. So if you want to make moves, it's there. We are 3 wide for the race lead. There is Keegan Leahy, though. We mentioned the connection issue he had earlier in this race, Tim. He's back on track, but he is 4 laps down at the very back, P37.
Yeah, we talked about Keegan Leahy having the internet power issues during this thunderstorm that Halifax is having. Dylan Duval, Stuart Haas Esports, is actually reporting on Twitter that he lost 2 monitors through that little power flicker that we had on the grid. So not only is Keegan Leahy having issues, Dylan Duval having issues too. He did not fall out. He is still on the lead lap, but instead of running triple monitors, Evan, he's only running 1. And I don't run triples. I know you do. What would Dylan be going through with that sort of thing?
What I suppose the challenge is which monitors went out first. Of course, you kind of use your side monitors for your peripherals, depending on the timing of it. If, say, your middle monitor went out and one of the side ones, you could quickly adjust iRacing in the settings to run it on just one monitor. You shuffle things around on the desk and, you make it happen. But you talk about connection issues and monitor failures and all those. I mean, these are, the sim racing equivalencies of, mechanical failures or issues on the grid. I mean, sim racing brings its own set of challenges, and thankfully for Dylan in his case, he had 3, because if he was only running 1 monitor and he lost that one, that would be it. He would have to boot all that back up, get it all reacquainted, and at that point, he could be like Keegan, running a couple of laps down. Dylan is last on the lead lap, but Tim, maybe not entirely because of that issue, because I don't know about you, this 3 wide is fun to watch at the front of the field, but I'm not entirely sure I would want to be in the middle of it all race long. So some drivers have actually intentionally dropped back. You can see our top 20 or so is where this 2 and 3 wide is. Behind that, it starts to single file out. Those are the drivers who aren't quite convinced that this is the play, and they're trying to keep their race car in one piece to the end of the race.
I've watched a couple of these cars get a little bit light, get a little bit uneasy through these corners, and I think that's what a guy like Dylan Duval and those guys that might be hanging around at the back of the field might be looking at right now. But you've got to think, too, if this thing goes green the whole distance, you can't lay back a whole while. You have an issue on pit road, you're going to lose a ton of time. So it's a fine balance right now. I kind of like where Brian Schoenberg is running at the back of his back, kind of too wide with Zach Novak right now. He's able to kind of manage his race and manage that field in front of him, and if something does go wrong, he should be able to get there. But Justin Prince, what do you got?
Well, in regards to Duval, once again, to loop back into that storyline with the monitor situation, having just that single monitor, he is afraid to try and cut his way to the back right now in case anything was to happen with that single monitor. So expect him to ride to the back until he is feeling comfortable to cut his way back from the field as this run progresses tonight.
Well, Tim, I know we saw with the Pro Invitational Series, Denny Hamlin lost a monitor, and that kind of caused some chaos for him. I mean, that is That's your lifeline in the sim. You can, maybe get away with some sort of a wheel issue or a pedal issue if they're only acted up just a little bit. But if you don't have your monitor, that's it. I mean, you can't see anything. And, some drivers run with just one. You talk about Dylan using the triple monitors. Some other drivers opt for the VR, where in place of those, second and third monitors on your left and right, you kind of use the VR goggles to look left and right for peripherals. Sounds like Dylan's concern is not being able to see next to the car, more so just what happens if that other monitor goes out. And maybe he would appreciate a yellow flag, come down to the pit lane, sit in the stall for 30, 45 seconds, stand up, inspect his rig, make sure everything's good, and to keep on going. You're on board with Michael Conti, and look up in front of him. We are 4 wide. The 18 of Bolin on the fence, and sparks fly as this lead pack now will swallow up the 32 of Keegan Leahy, who without the draft was much slower on the inside. He's now been assimilated into this pack. That was a close moment there, and now Jarl Tien to the outside of Ottinger. Going to get a peek for the race lead as Nathan Lyon, the big loser, he is dropping back on the third lane.
What a move by Jarl Tien. He was 4 wide in the middle, kind of went through. That car looked like it kind of got a little bit light, Evan, and now it goes to the outside to try to take the lead of this race away from Nick Ottinger. He's got Logan Clampett in tow. He's got the 10 of Justin Bolton, the 18, as well. As you look at the 47, great to see Steve Sheehan in that race car this week. And Evan did a little bit of research about 10 years ago this week. It was his first eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series victory at Atlanta, so I'm sure he wants to add another one. Would be his 5th career victory if he can win it here this evening for JTG Doherty. He's got some new colors on that race car. He wants to bring it to the front. I think he had that message pre-race when we checked in on the driver board.
Oh yeah, he lets us know that he's willing to do whatever it takes to go to victory lane, and if he could get a race win, that would obviously add to the illustrious list of 52 different drivers who have gotten a win in series history. Take a look at bottom right. I think that is the definition of sponsor activation. Steve Sheehan, and it's a big wreck up the road in front of him. You're on board as he is hard on the brakes, and Sheehan, I think, will survive as it all broke out in front, and a massive wreck at lap number 22 all started at the front.
That's going to significantly shorten our field. Ray Alfalo went for a ride. You see the 53 of Luza on your screen, and there's a driver that has a little bit of a cushion, but you really don't want to rest on your laurels should something happen in these next couple of races. Luza comes down to the attention of his crew. That was big. When it happens at the front of the field, it's going to take out some really good race cars.
It all started with Bolton into the outside wall, and, Tim, you mentioned Ray Alfalo. When we talk about drivers with a buffer to the points, that is not what the number 2 team is working with. Let's take a second look at the incident. Again, it was lap number 22 in turns 3 and 4. And look for that blue number 10 Ford, second in line on the outside. You can see Leahy a little bit close on the quarter panel. And I don't know, Tim, if that was just a total equipment failure. That thing stopped turning straight into the outside wall. And look at the car airborne. Ray Alfalo coming into this evening was only about 26 or so points above the cut line. Heavily damaged, going to be a lot tighter than that as we leave Daytona International Speedway. The race leaders who survived that are down pit road, lap 23.
This kind of intrigues me a little bit, Evan. We've got 23 laps in. These guys can go 35 to 40-ish laps, give or take a couple on the fuel, so they should be setting up for one more stop if this thing were to stay green to the end. But you might see some different strategies here as everybody's going to come down onto pit road and get service on their race cars at the start of lap number 24.
And expect the maintenance on the cars to be pretty routine across the board. 4 tires, fuel, of course, as you mentioned, to try to get the distance. But Ottinger first in, not going to be the first car off. He gets beat by Logan Clampett and Jarl Tien. What a stop for the 66 team as he went a little bit shorter, only 11.8 seconds in the box. That was 2 tires only, and you talked about the bold move on the racetrack, had a bold move in pit road to pick up some spots that Jarl Tien going to go to the top of the board under caution flag conditions. So we pace at lap number 24. It is the number 66 Chevy to the top as Jarl Tien leads. We step aside. You're watching the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series on the iRacing Esports Network.
for those living together and those living apart. For classmates, graduates, and teachers making the best of it. For the restaurants delivering to our doorsteps. For the frontline workers putting it on the line every single day. For this great nation determined to be stronger on the other side. Thanks to all of you, we'll be together again.
Seuss, an official gaming hardware partner of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Getting set for a restart, going to put lap number 25 of 100 behind us, as Jarl Tien's going to bring us to the green flag alongside the 99 of Logan Clampett. They were both better than Nick Ottinger on starts, and they're on the front row for the restart.
So as they go down towards corner number one, look at Bobby Zelensky giving that shot to Logan Clampett on the outside, side by side for the lead. And here comes Ottinger, wasting little time getting that 66 car a little bit light at a 2.
Very aggressive on the push through turn number 2. Going to get the 66 a tee it all the way out in front, but it doesn't shake the challenge from the outside because now Clampett pushed by Zelensky. Going to get right back up alongside. Nose to nose for the race lead in turn number 3. Already some cars thinking 3 wide, but they'll stay 2 by 2. 4 down as Chris Overland now makes the third lane. Jarl Tien establishes the race lead.
Overland had a head of steam coming out of 4. He's got Brian Schoenberg behind him. Guerrilla going to go to the outside. Guerrilla's teammate stuck in the middle and behind of Eric Smith. Those Jim Beaver esports cars now going to be side by side as Eric Smith goes to the inside. A little closer at a 2. Up in front, Ottinger goes to the outside, poised to take the lead away from Tien.
Yeah, we'll see if 2 cars is strong enough to work both in that duo leading the middle and as those 2 up on the outside of the racetrack. But again, you can see it is just the 15 and the 16 up top. Everybody else staying 2 wide. They'll probably be able to hang there in that third lane, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to actually get all the way clear. And on the inside line, Ottinger's got enough. The assist to the Valvoline Toyota, and race leader once more, Nick Ottinger. He now goes back to the point, and he'll lead us at the turn number 2, 100 miles an hour. Not bad for the lead car in the draft.
But how about Guerrilla and Overland on the outside, trying to make that third lane, that top side work, Kevin? Trying to get there with not a whole lot of help. Looks like Overland's going to abandon the 15 now, side by side, up in front. That third lane is about 4 back as Logan Clampett trying to take the lead away from Nick Ottinger. They'll come by the stripe this time by. Complete lap number 28. It'll be Ottinger at the top of the board. Top 2 side by side all the way back to about 7th, where that 15 car Guerrilla is still hanging on the outside.
That time 203 miles an hour into the corner as the 15 Guerrilla without water wings is going to drown on that third lane. He's going to drop to the back, and maybe he can see if somebody else is going to go up and help him, but for the moment, he is on his own, and if he can't get some support, he'll really have to try to pinch down on that middle lane to get a little bit of the side draft, but it is just not going to work out for that Polaris racer Ford Mustang or Jim Beaver Esports. And I mentioned this talking pre-race, Tim, but I do have to take a bit of a shot at Chris Overland here. I was just checking my text, and he mentioned earlier this week that he was calling his shot. He said, I'm starting on pole this week. I'm letting you know now. He was just a little bit off back in P19, so I do have to kind of rib him for that one, but in a good position. He's gained a lot of spots, and he's already running into the top 10 spot in that ride spin food.
You know, looking back, we talked about lead changes and everything else. Chris Overland's led 27 laps in the last 2 super speedway races that we've had here, so Overland has been good, just looking for that win. But speaking of lead changes, we might have one more. Here comes the RLT and to the inside, well-timed move. And where did Chris Shearburn come from? Well, Letarte Esports, number 36, is there too.
Over 200 miles an hour in a side-by-side battle for the race lead at Daytona. Let's go iRacing at full throttle. The plan to sure make that outside line work is kind of that trio of he, Ottinger, and T, and continue to go back and forth. And that shouldn't be a surprise, Tim, when we were here to kick off the season in February. That caution-free race saw 14 different leaders for 33 lead changes.
Yeah, you look back to Talladega last year where we had 52 different lead changes and 14 different leaders. So this package is great. These drivers showing a lot of respect for each other, and they're able to make it work and put on a show for us to enjoy on a Tuesday night. But up in front, Ottinger continues to lead. He wants to lead the most laps here this evening, and so far so good. But Logan Clampett still fighting on the outside with Bobby Zielinski in tow.
And of course, you notice that third lane really not as prominent this time around. As I say that, Sheehan and the 14 machine of Cattell going to try to make it work. But, I mean, this lead pack noticeably smaller. Only 31 cars left on the lead lap. And I'd say about the top 18 or so are side by side. The rest are strung out. And that's because so many fast race cars were either totally taken out of this race in that big one, or at least damaged enough to the point where I don't think they're going to be up there and being competitive for the rest of the night. And we're going to kind of hang on at the back of the draft there and earn some points before this thing's done. Tim, and talking about drivers who are going to have a premature end, you're chatting with Ryan Luza, who started at the back, was trying to work his way through it, and unfortunately collected in that one.
Yeah, Ryan, it's not the way you wanted to enjoy the rest of this race. What happened from your windshield?
I don't know. The 10 car just basically died and flew into the wall head on, and I was one of the few that really got destroyed from it. So didn't really want to be there, sitting 3 wide, but I hate sitting in the back. It's it's a bad place to be later on in the race. So we took our chances, and it caught up with us.
You had a little bit of a cushion coming in on the point standings. Does that give you any solace or anything looking forward?
I mean, I guess. We definitely want that cushion for Talladega, though, just in case the same thing happens again. So we need 2 really good runs at Darlington and wherever we go next after that, Vegas. I'm looking forward to Vegas, and hopefully get that cushion built back up for Talladega.
Give us a little bit of insight here as these guys continue to jockey for the lead. What do we expect here throughout the rest of this race? One stop maybe to the end. What peer into your crystal ball for us?
I'm pretty sure they have to make 2 more stops here for gas, and they'll probably stay 2 by 2, maybe with 1 or 2 cars up top in the third lane, and things won't really start getting crazy until after they make that final pit stop. Just hopefully we don't see any more big wrecks up front. Actually, for me, I kind of hope they do, but we'll see.
Well, sorry for your luck tonight, and we wish you all the best in a couple of weeks when we join you again.
All right, thanks, Tim.
That's Ryan Lewis. I hate to see that 53 car out so early in this race, Evan, but as you said, he's kind of hoping for maybe a couple of wrecks here. Maybe knock some of those guys that were in that position maybe back a little bit and join them back there with that points cushion or lack thereof.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I appreciate the honesty out of him there, because you never really want to wish ill will upon your other competitors. And he's in a pretty good spot. Came into tonight 366 points. The driver on the bubble, Logan Clampett, with 309. So, I mean, he's more than 50 points above the cut. But you get basically last placed points in this race. It brings you closer. I wouldn't consider him a bubble driver yet. But again, you mentioned he's looking forward to Darlington and Vegas, notably not looking forward to the regular season finale at Talladega, because if I'm within a race's worth of points in that regular season finale, I'm nervous. So yes, Loser could definitely benefit from some of those drivers near him, the points having equally as poor of a result after he racks out early and is looking to finish 37th of 37 cars who started this race. And I think he's right. I mean, you can see most drivers seem content, maybe is the word, with that 2-wide racing up front. You've got the 14 machine still working up top, Tim, but other than that, I mean, it's basically everybody else just kind of maintaining position. And there coming off the pit lane is Ryan, so he's going to lap it around here about 16 laps off of the lead lap. Mention that our coverage tonight brought to you by our friends at ASUS, and you could walk away a winner tonight as well by entering our Daytona giveaway. You can win a 1-year iRacing membership, a RTX 2060 graphics card, and an ASUS swag bag. If you want to enter, go find their Twitter handle. It's at ASUS, so ASUS_ROGNA. Look for the tweet talking about today's Daytona giveaway, and you can enter and walk away a winner tonight as well. ASUS, an official gaming hardware partner of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. We are closing in on halfway home again, Tim. This race a little bit longer mileage-wise than what we're used to just in the summer. You mentioned we raced to 100 laps here in the spring, and that gives us 250-mile distance. Of course, half that of the Daytona 500. Most races in this championship, 50% length of our Cup Series counterparts, but tonight a little bit longer than what that would be.
And as we continue to run here, the lights continue to come up. It's going to be a great scene when we throw this checkered flag. First time that we've raced under the lights here at Daytona since way back in 2010 when John Gorlinski went to victory lane as we continue to swap the lead up in front. Nick Ottinger, that last time by, scored as the leader, but Logan Clampett gets that little bit of an edge down to the corner. I see Brandon Cattell trying to poke to that outside line, but nobody really wants to go to that third groove right now. And as Ryan Luza mentioned, a little bit of a sense of urgency or lack thereof. You ride on board with the 14. We'll see if he ducks into line or see if he gets any help here.
I mean, it hasn't been totally hopeless for that, cars that go to the outside line, but I don't think at any point has it worked out for both of them. We see 2-3 cars get together, and it mostly ends when one of them abandoned ships find a spot on the inside, tucks down there, and it kind of kills off the momentum for everybody else on the outside line. So he's trying to make it happen on his own. 47's behind him. Sheehan's taken a peek once or twice, and he will follow him up there. But I mean, even this, squeezed up against the wall at 200 miles an hour, this is still the Coke Series equivalency of just kind of riding around. As there's Overland, slick a boot to the outside. It's a good timing. They'll get a lot of speed down the Daytona super stretch, but not enough to challenge for the race lead. And now Overland better commit, because his spot in the middle filled up by the 90 of Zach Novak, who is directly next to the car that you are on board with riding, 24 car. That's Jake Nichols.
Running on that inside line, the second three-wide trio per se, and now they get up with Chris Overland in the 90 of Novak. This is the battle for what would be position number 7 as they dive it down into corner number 1. The 9 of Eric Smith going to try to get up in behind in that second groove, but there it is right there. 3 wide, Santi Tires on the inside. The outside is Chris Overland. That outside line of that third groove, Evans, kind of stalled a little bit. That was close there as Overland tried to find his spot on the line.
He tried to come down between the 9 and the 47. The spot was not there. And speaking of the 9, there's the on board with Eric J. Smith, the Big Green Egg Ford, Jim Beaver Esports entry. He's behind the defending champ in the Sunoco Toyota of Zach Novak. That puts him 6th, no 5th in line on that outside line. And Eric, somebody who is looking to turn the season around, has not had a campaign memorable. His concern over the course of the next, again, it's not even to the end of the regular season, but for the rest of the whole year. So 7 races total after this is to just fight for the relegation bubble, stay top 20. So he can be in this championship next year after entering tonight tied for 32nd in the points. And Malik Ray going to bring his Rowdy Energy Toyota up to a 3rd lane on his own, because that previous duo is kind of fallen away.
Riding along with the 27 car and kind of calm, cool, and collected right now, and rightfully so. Running 4th on that outside line, running 7th overall. As he's got the 90 behind him. You got Bobby Zielinski there at 36 of Shearburn. Kind of had one of those little car got light moments up the hill after the dry oval, but Corey Vincent, the Renegades car, continues to work forward to the front of the field, trying to put together another solid finish here.
Doing everything he can. I mean, Corey Vincent's had a string of great weeks here, Tim, and I would consider him kind of a bubble driver. 13th in the points, kind of 30 or so points out of a spot for the postseason. If he can get a good result here, because again, there is no win and you're in this series, unlike in the NASCAR Cup Series. So a win would not lock anybody into the postseason. If you want to win, though, simply to get the max points, he could definitely be a contender headed into the final 3 weeks of the regular season. I mentioned Malik Ray a little bit ago, going to the 3rd lane. He is now tucked back down to the bottom lane there. I'm sure he's streaming live on Twitch. Everybody tuned in with him. There's our onboard look with him. And once again, he's going to squeeze on the outside, doing whatever he can to get spot by spot. He's in kind of a P15-ish car all race long, but the important thing is he's keeping it clean.
Yeah, him and Chris Overland have kind of been swapping a position back and forth here in the middle of this pack as they go down towards the tri-oval. Justin Prince, what do you got?
And when it comes to Malik Ray, he's talked about the car feels unstable to try and make moves. He is feeling very nervous at this exact moment right now, and how the car handling is seems a bit loose whenever he tries to step out like this.
But it's a good thing that you mentioned that, because as we were looking on the board with him, you might have noticed 15 seconds ago or so, he was talking. He was actually over the radio, in which he could communicate with all the drivers, and he apologized to the 16 of Overland, who was next to him, Tim, and said, sorry, I'm not trying to get on you. Car's just a little bit loose on me up here on the outside. So there's kind of the live communication going on between drivers as well. There's so much communication behind the scenes between drivers and spotters and crew chiefs that we can't hear and their fellow competitors cannot hear either. But there is also that open radio that everybody can talk to everybody on.
And now Malik going to go to the outside, and Steve Sheehan going to hop up to the outside as well. We kind of saw him out there kind of dabbling on that outside line a little bit earlier prior to that first caution flag. And now Steve on that outside along with Malik as we see the 25 of Ottinger continue to battle side by side with Clampett. And here comes Zielinski. Big shot for the Valvoline, number 99.
Gave him a shot, but they didn't have much of a run. Clampett just clear, and the 99 Toyota goes to the race lead as we close in on halfway home at Daytona. So many different world championships, though, taking place on the iRacing service. And earlier this week, want to congratulate Hayden Cardwell on the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model World Championship. He secured that title here on the sim earlier this week, Tim. Just one of the many forms of pro-level sim racing that we have here on iRacing, and I'll tell you what, that series always so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I love to watch the World of Outlaws on Monday evenings. They do a great job and put on a great show. If you love short track racing, that is a series you really have to follow here on iRacing. See that battle for the lead continuing on up in front, middle of the pack. There's Chris Shearburn underneath the number 51 of Malik Ray. That is 7th and 8th respectively as they come up at a 4.
This time by, going to be 50 laps down, 50 laps to go. Back to pit road, JP.
And drivers across the radio talking about alternative strategies. Many of them reminding their respective drivers to consider the pack speed with how many drivers are in the lead group. About top 25 of these competitors separated by just about 2 seconds. Drivers are also considering playing the fuel game. Expect some pit stops in potentially a few laps.
So that's how this fuel's going to play into effect. 50 laps to go. They've been out there for about 28, so that's going to be an evolving story as this night carries on. And, you know, we talk about the dirt oval side of the sim. We can also talk about our road world championship racing and the next round of the Porsche Esports Super Cup coming this Saturday. You can tune in 10 a.m. Eastern on all of iRacing and Porsche social channels as we go racing from Spa. That's this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time here on the iRacing Esports Network. And Tim, you would think that that's probably the furthest type of sim racing you can get from this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, but the man up front, the 83 of Bobby Zielinski, probably going to be racing at that race as well as he slides down the top Logan Clamp. And no shocker that Bobby is the road course king here. That's because he's a road racer as well outside of Tuesday nights.
You know what, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the hugest road course fan, but when you look at the format that they run on the Saturday show, if you've never watched one of the Porsche Esports races, opportunity is to do so on Saturday because you're going to enjoy it. Regardless if you're an oval fan, whether you're a dirt fan, or you like road course racing, that is a series you're going to have to watch on a Saturday on the iRacing Esports Network. You'll enjoy it, whether you're a short track guy or a super speedway, whether you're an oval guy or a road guy, you'll love it. There's Corey Benson to the outside. We talked about him about 5 laps ago, middle of this pack, Evan. He's got help from a guy we haven't spoken about a whole lot tonight. How about Zach Novak? Novak in the 90 to the outside.
And he's somebody who needs points. He is a sub-top 20 car. Just wants to stay in the championship. And we talk about the road racer in Bobby Zielinski as you're on board with him and leading. You'll notice, Tim, I think he's got the stock car steering wheel back on the car. But if you remember to 2 weeks ago when we were racing here at Daytona on the road course, he had the open wheel on his rim, and he was racing with that using the paddle shifters to get it through that as he went to victory lane. So we talked about some of the functionality with sim racing in terms of monitors and VR, but I mean the equipment in your wheel and pedal set just as, if not more important.
Absolutely it is, and look at that confidence there, talking to his crew, maybe discussing that pit strategy that JP talked about a little bit earlier on. We've got to be getting close to that number. As Ryan Luza kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, Evan, they're looking at 2 pit stops potentially for some of these teams, so you would have to think that they're starting to look at that number and potentially trying to plan for that. They've got back to 2 wide for the most part. You see Brandon Cattell barely out of that shot from Bobby Zielinski on that outside line, but he's the only one going to the outside.
And it looks pretty calm up at the front of the field. A lot of these drivers look like they're racing in the void with all the lights off in the room, Tim, but I bet that's to help the room stay cool. The high-end PCs that a lot of these drivers are using, if you're running multiple monitors, you can see he's got that screen wrapped around on the left-hand side. I mean, you know, that is just to help keep the temps down because those PCs work at overtime.
64 is most likely for me.
Okay, I will let them know.
Is he taking tires
more
or not?
lightly. Yeah, full service.
Okay.
'64 coming to 65.
64 coming to 65 or 63 coming to 64? Coming to
Or is it
64
63 coming to 64?
Bobby.
Yeah, I think it'll be 63 coming to 64. Looking at my fuel remaining.
Yeah, I would confirm. 63 coming to 64.
Okay.
Full service. Did you understand?
Yeah, it should be, full service should be in there already.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so lap 63 is the latest I can do. Safely.
So there's some of the radio communication as Bobby is talking with his team up at the front of the field, and he's going to have to hold off a big run here because here comes Corey Vincent rocketing to the outside, pushed by the 90 of Novak. And I mean, I don't want to kind of pretend, Tim, that what's happening up at the front of the field is inconsequential now, but remember what Lewis has said. These guys are basically riding and biding their time until they get past that final pit stop. That's, I think, when business will really start to pick up.
And I would think as we got into Bobby Zielinski's head and got into that little bit of the crew communication of how this race and how this run essentially is playing out, I would think that if these guys can go to 62, 63, you might be able to stretch that fuel a little bit if this thing goes green, because keep in mind, we went 0 cautions back here in February. These races typically have 1, 2, maybe 3 cautions on average, so trying to play it out as we lay out, listen to Bob Rock.
I'm following you, homie. All right.
Yeah, very polite of Bob, Tim, to keep the trade secrets quiet and stop talking as we cue him up on the mic here. We'll continue to listen in on his radio, but I mean, he's in a pretty comfortable spot right now, just riding in position 28. That's one of those drivers who is not back here because of damage.
Now we're going,
just
okay.
biding his time. He seems convinced that in the 1 to 2 yellows that you were talking about, he's banking on 2 because he does not want to be up front quite yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, kind of the smile on his face there, and trying to focus in on what's going on, because not only is he racing trying to get out to the front of the field, Evan, you've got to figure out what's going on in front, 5, 10, 15 cars ahead, because
Damn,
if
I didn't know you were
something
going,
does
Bob.
happen, you're going to have to react to it as we saw in that first yellow.
waiting on you.
Bob's going.
Well, I mean,
Bob is highly going.
thanks, I guess.
I was waiting on you, dude, for like through 2 laps.
I
Leaders
can't
are
hear
coming
you.
in at 64, they think. It's only like a lap before us.
That's the same lap as us.
So he's going to have to get it to work his way through the pack. Again, P27, 28 or so right now is only about 1.5 seconds off of the back towards the front of the field. You can actually see most of the field now, if not all of it, has gone into that 2-wide racing. That third lane has pretty much disintegrated, Tim, as we are that much closer to possible pit stops. You talked about our window a little bit earlier. earlier. 39 laps to go. It's been 38 laps since we last pitted. What are we thinking as far as how much longer these drivers may want to push it? Granted that you might want to have a little bit extra in case we go to overtime.
Yeah, I think we have to go another couple of laps or so at least to kind of feel safe, but you're also stretching it on that first run. So if you're going to try to get there, I think you have to do 2 or 3 more laps, Evan, but you don't want to be that first group down on pit road, because if somebody makes a mistake, a caution flag will come out. So you're kind of walking a thin line right now.
Logan Clampett, second car in line on the inside. That's his teammate Michael Conti in the room, the roommate with him. Let's listen into their radio chatter.
Yep. Okay, 4 tires. Shit.
And a caution
Did we
flag
make
to
it?
fly just as
All
pit
right,
stops
just,
were kicking
why
off.
we get speeding?
Multiple cars in the grass, and we have a yellow at lap 62. There's a couple of the ones involved.
Yeah, but it started with Steve Sheehan in the 47 or around that area. These drivers coming down onto pit road, some of them trying to get down there last minute, but we'll see that replay in just a moment. But Steve in the wrong place in the wrong time with that brand new ride of his, trying to get it to the front of the field, and he'll have to take that quick tow back to pit road.
And there was a lot of angry drivers on the radio. Of course, we were on board with Clampett there, and you saw the new roommate and Michael Conti next to him as Clampett made the move out east to Charlotte. And you got the Parker Kligerman, the Burton Kligerman eSports driver, roomed up with the Junior Motorsports entry, 2 of the long-time big names in sim racing. And fortunately, maybe for Logan, that he was low because he avoids the incident, although he may have a penalty of sorts just given the fact that he may have entered a closed pit. That all depends on the timing of when the caution flag actually came out. But I believe when we get a look at the replay, Tim, what we're going to find is that Jake Nichols was not actually coming down pit road to pit. He simply just kind of got a little bit loose off of the corner, went low. I think the 47 took that as, hey, he's pitting, turned right into his door, and it made a big mess. So instead, wholesale pit stop's going to happen right now under yellow.
And Evan, this should be, if this thing goes green, they should be able to make it on fuel to the end. If it goes green to lap 100, this could be the final pit stop, barring any overtimes or any extra laps in on this race. Everybody looks clean into their box here.
And you can see left sides, right sides getting jacked up on pit road. Yes, that is indicative of the cars that are getting fresh rubber. It's going to be quite the race off for the pit lane. Zelensky way in front, but for second, Zach Novak beats off Eric J. Smith. Everybody, Tim, on that run opting to go for 4 tires. Of course, we saw Jarl Tien roll the dice a little bit earlier. He went with 2. That gave him a tad bit of track position. Not this time. And I think that decision comes in part with, because if you get 4 now and you get a late yellow, maybe you can forego the tires. If you need a splash of fuel, let's take a second look, though, at how this incident kicks off. And again, watch the 24 and the 47. The 24 goes below the double yellow like he's pitting Tim, but he never slows down. And I think Sheehan misreads that right here and drives into him thinking he was pitting.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It just looked like when that car goes below, and even you mentioned earlier with Dylan Duval having those triple monitors, kind of being able to see that over to the side and say, hey, it looks like he's pitting. And there was more cars in front, more cars behind that were coming down onto pit road. But we also said it, you don't want to be that one to make that mistake and bring out that caution flag and kind of set up what we did here. So tough break for Steve Sheehan, tough break for Jake Nichols, but I'm sure they'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and they're going to have some points to make up, and they're going to have some ground to make up in these final 3 races prior to the playoff cutoff.
Yeah, just the urgency for the 47 to dart left like that. You might ask, well, why'd he kind of turn right into his door? There were cars behind Sheehan that weren't pitting, and he wanted to get to the inside of that double yellow and then get on the brakes instead of slowing down in the driving line. And unfortunately, that miscommunication. I talked about the fact that, yeah, there is a radio channel in which all of these drivers can talk to each other on, but they're not always going to give everybody an indication on what the pit strategy is. Steve Sheehan did say pitting in. Unfortunately, the drivers behind and the miscommunication with the 24 there did not work out. And They didn't use that communication to its best. Can be difficult when you got 20, 25 drivers all on the mic at one time saying, hey, I've been down to the pit lane, trying to figure out where they are around you. But this should bridge us, if it stays green, for a run to the end of this race. We will come by this time, put lap number 65 behind us, and take a restart with 35 laps to go. Tim, I know it's on the outskirts of the home stretch. Do these guys start to mix it up now, or are they going to be, a little bit more conservative and to make sure we get to the final 15 or 10 before they start throwing punches?
Yeah, I think you got to ride here for 20 to 25 laps before you really figure out where you need to go, who you need to push, and where you need to be on that one. We also lost Brian Schoenberg in that one. Brian had a top 10 run going here a little bit earlier. Tough break for that Clint Boyer Racing number 79. Steve Sheehan still being scored as 2 laps down. He is on pit road. That next driver, that would be multiple laps down. Keegan Leahy's made 1 back, but he's still 3 laps down.
The pace car going to be in this time. Bobby Zelensky in control, back to where he started this evening on the inside of row number 1. Green flag flies. We're back underway, and it's a push from Eric Smith. 3 of your top 4 cars started this race outside of the top 13.
Down into corner number 1 and 2, the 90 of Zach Novak positioned himself, Evan, at the end of that run to be where he is right now, to the outside with that push from Corey Vincent. We mentioned earlier he needs the points. This is the best way to do it. The Sunoco number 90 to the top of the board, down to the inside.
What a gutsy move as he slid down across the nose of Zelensky. There was not room. I mean, he came across the nose. Lucky he didn't get loosened up a little bit, and Zach Novak's done it. Started 34th of 37 cars, and he's now leading at lap number 67. Granted, they're not going to make it easy on him. Here comes the counter. Vincent pushed by Ray. They're coming right back on the outside, but for the moment, keeping it too wide, and issues with the 36 now. Shearburn, slow, he'll spin the 18. Overland involved, multiple cars on the apron. It looks like, though, they straighten out, no caution on the back.
That's going to break up this lead pack. Currently 5 drivers and a few others kind of behind, trying to catch back up, but they all wrecked to the apron. They all wrecked to the inside. No caution flag triggered, and Zach Novak will continue to lead. Corey Vincent will get in behind, and you think these guys are going to try to pull away now?
Well, I was just about to say, we saw in some of the water shots even before that chaos that this was a much smaller pack after having gone through now a second large incident, and now that is really going to string things out. You can see Novak using a lot of communication. He's got the gloves on, racing, and it is a top 5 breakaway right now. I think realistically, though, we'll probably get about a dozen or so cars grouped up. I don't know if the likes of Gorlinski, Busa, and those drivers 15th on back will be able to catch. It's going to have a lot to do with how well this lead pack works with each other. If they stay in line and draft, they'll probably be pretty tough to catch. But of course, Tim, if you have bigger groups, a group of 10, a group of 12 further back, that group of single file going to be faster than your 5 group single file. So all they can do is play nice, watch the intervals, and maybe get away with the top 9 breakaway or so. You can already see that second group, the 14 of Cattell on back. They have already caught them. This lead group now falls apart, and here comes Cattell with a monster run. He'll go to the middle and the number 14 Ford. That'll push Malik Ray out to the outside wall.
Malik's going to be the odd one out here. Went to the inside, and everybody tried to move ahead of him. He's going to lose a couple of spots. It's still going to be Novak leading. Bobby Zelensky goes to the outside, and there is your second pack on the right-hand side of your screen, or check that. They continue to work around here. Man, oh man, these guys are getting busy.
They are working hard. Look at the 41 machine now dropping way back and significantly off the pace there for the 41 of Dylan Duvall as your race leaders blow by him and put him a lap down. There's going to be a lot of those limping cars all over the racetrack, but coming to 30 to go, you wouldn't know that there was just a large incident. This pack has doubled back up, and it is now 9 cars strong. 10th place, Michael Guerrilla is the next pack. He is in a single file line with Alex McCollum, Kane Cook, and Logan Clampett. And then there's another pack a little bit further down the road. If those two packs group up, stay single file, you could just see them for a moment at the top of your screen. I think they have a legitimate chance at catching this lead group, especially if they stay too wide, and you're not going to be any better off than you were before. This pack probably going to get to more than 15 cars if it stays green.
Yeah, that second pack is all the way back to about 17th place Nick Ottinger. So I think it's doable, Evan, especially if these guys continue to have that sense of urgency that they've had the last couple of laps of trying to get to the front of the field. I think the only one that's comfortable right now might be the 90 is Zach Novak, as he's got Bobby Zielinski to the outside and Eric Smith trying to do what he can to get back to victory lane in this series. Pushes Zielinski up back to the lead, and now the 9 to the outside with a little help from Brandon Gattel.
And that was a big push. Smith got a little bit squirrely that time, was able to rein it in. I don't think he had the lift out of the throttle, so he stays right there at the door of Novak for a second. There's the onboard look with Michael Gass. The number 33 car is the caboose on this 9-car train. 4 cars on the bottom, 5 cars on the outside, and that second pack, 10th on back, Tim, was 0.5 of a second faster than the lead pack was the last time by. So they are catching, and at that rate, they'll be here within 10 laps.
We talked about drivers that might need lights in the room. That might be one of them right there, as you see the 33 of Gas continuing to give a little bit of a shot up there. But yeah, this pack is going to be probably 16 or 17 strong here sooner rather than later as Zielinski continues to lead. Oh, there's the 14 little bobble. They all go around the 14, and he's going to be in the wall. That will draw the caution.
It is a big, ugly mess for Brandon Gattel, and that car blew up while he was pushing Eric Smith. It checked up traffic for a moment. I thought they were going to be okay, but he got tagged by Malik Ray, who was diving to the inside to avoid it. Gattel collects guest, and there's your yellow that'll bring everybody else back into the fold.
That was a tough break for Malik Ray. It almost looked like he had it cleared. He went to the inside, and Brandon Gattel with that blown motor did the same thing. But the caution flag will fly, which is good for those guys that are about 20th on back that may need to come down and maybe get their cars massaged a little bit, get back in this lead draft. As we look at the Coca-Cola replay, you're going to see the 14 of Gattel, a little bit of a puff of smoke come out of that race car. Bob Bryant is going to go to the outside line, and to get there, a little bit of contact right there, and then Malik goes to the inside thinking he's going to be able to clear the 14, and carnage ensues from there. Tough break for Michael Guest, too.
Yeah, Michael Guest had nothing to do with that, and he gets taken out on the outside. And I'm curious if that was the second car to blow up on that run, because, of course, the big incident that kind of separated the packs to begin with was an issue with shear burn. I didn't see smoke out of the 36, but, I mean, it was very similar in the fact that that car was pushing, and it just dropped all of a sudden. I don't know if he had an issue with the brakes, if he somehow shifted, but the 36 also lost a bunch.
For those living together and those living apart. For classmates, graduates, and teachers making the best of it. For the restaurants delivering to our doorsteps. For the frontline workers putting it on the line every single day. For this great nation determined to be stronger on the other side. Thanks to all of you, we'll be together again.
Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by ASUS, an official gaming hardware partner of the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Under the caution flag at three-quarter distance, Tim Terry alongside of myself, Evan Pasoko, upstairs with you, and we want to remind you once more to enter tonight's ASUS giveaway. You can win a one-year iRacing membership along with an RTX 2060 graphics card and an ASUS ROG swag bag. For more information and to enter, go to their Twitter account. It's at ASUS_ROGNA for more information. So the cars up at the front of the field, Tim, not coming down to the pit lane. 17th on back, did decide to come down, top off on fuel, and for some of them, get some more tires. So that's the complexion of a restart. That'll be with 24 to go, but let's take one more look at that incident.
Yeah, one more look. Riding on board with Malik Ray, and you're going to see this car blow off ahead and trying to figure out where to go. It's going to be hard. Take a look.
He made that dive low. It almost looks like that when he got into the back of the car in front of him, it maybe got hit from behind, that he got a little bit loose, kind of steered him to the inside, and it just didn't work out for him, Justin.
Yeah, in regards to Cattell, by the way, no warning on the engine explosion there with it blowing up there. Temperatures were not in the red. It may have potentially have been an oil pressure leak. Outside of that, no warning before that incident.
So a tough break, just like that, the engine's gone and your night is over. For the cars left, it'll be a restart with 24 laps to go. Bobby Zelensky and Eric J. Smith side by side on the front row. Green flag flies. We're back underway.
Coming across the start and finish line with 24 laps to go in this one. Now this is the time, Evan, where we talked earlier on the last restart. Where do you position yourself? Where do you start pushing? If you're outside the top 10, you really start to make your way towards the front. Got some new names up here. How about Kane Cook in the top 10? Matt Boos has worked his way back up. The 54 of Alex McCollum is up here. We got some new faces up here in the top 10 trying to win themselves a race at Daytona.
I always like pointing out how many cars started at the back and are running up front, but literally only Bobby Zelensky and Logan Clampett were top 10 cars at the start of this race. You got guys like Novak from 34th, Bryant from 36th, McCollum from 35th. It goes to show that all those drivers that were strung out at the back, not wanting to go 2 and 3 wide early in this race, may have been the smart ones as they have worked their way into the field.
As they continue to work around here, you see some of those drivers that have been up here for a while. You know, you guys like Bobby Zelensky, as you mentioned. Bob Bryant's worked his way up. Corey Vincent, Zach Novak. All those drivers have been hanging around the top 10 or so for most of this race. Eric Smith, as he works that outside line, that big green egg Ford, trying to get the lead away from Bobby Zelensky. But now is the time. Put yourself in a position to win this thing, because we're coming down to those final 20 laps.
If the on-track action looks fun, you can participate too, because with iRacing, every day is race day. For more information on how to start your iRacing career, log on to iRacing.com today. You can race these NASCAR Cup Series cars at Daytona at any track on the NASCAR calendar, and over 50 other track options. Ton of fun. For more information, looks like there's a spinner towards the back. Maybe it is the 75 machine around. Good catch on that one by the camera crew downstairs. Phil Diaz, the second of those mode Fords, goes around. No yellow, though. We stay green after he got a bit of a hip check from Santiago Tires.
And there's the caution flag out on the speedway, so we'll slow them down at the end of lap number 79. And there's the 16 of Chris Overland. Mentioned earlier he was going to call his shot, Evan. Car looks relatively clean, at least from this camera angle. You look at the other side, there's a little bit of a dent on the left rear, but draw the caution flag here with what will be a restart now with less than 20 to go.
And this was Overland where this incident happened, so when we were trying to catch up with what happened on the back straightaway, another wreck comes out of nowhere, and let's watch this. Overland is following the 37 machine of Christian Challenger, but watch the 3 of Blake Reynolds. As Reynolds moves up the hill just a little bit, Overland's going to follow him. See that? Trying to stay with the draft. and he comes up over the nose of the 66 of Jarl Tien. It hooked him around into the outside wall. Tien then collected the 24 machine, so that is a lot of damage for Jake Nichols, who destroys that inside wall, and that is how an incident comes out of nowhere. And Overland on the radio apologized to the guys up top, letting them know, hey, I was just trying to follow the draft and came up a little bit too high.
So now we restart with less than 20 laps to go, and I kind of like the little bit of a strategy that we had with some of those drivers that just came down pit road in that last caution, Evan. Top up your tank just in case we do have some overtime, because it's starting to go into that trend. You're starting to get that feel, that sense of urgency is starting to come up, and we'll see what happens here as we take another look at the replay. We're going to ride along.
Just nothing he could do there, and I mentioned that hard hit with the inside wall, Tim. He actually caught it pretty quick. As soon as he saw the contact, you could see him move that car down the hill trying to avoid it, but when those cars on top got into each other, bounced down into him, and there was really nothing that he could do. So all of these incidents, big implications on the playoffs. And as you mentioned, coming into this evening, 4 races to go in the regular season. After tonight, we continue to go racing as we will head to Darlington, Las Vegas, and Talladega. Only the top 8 will make it into the postseason. And there's your look at how the playoffs shake out coming into this evening. Logan Clamp at number 8 is the last driver in. 5 points. Behind him is Mullis, Bolin, Sherburne. Tim, we talked about the good night for Corey Vincent. Could be huge. 32 points off. I thought maybe Jake Nichols could stand to benefit. He just now involved in that incident. Somebody like a Casey Kerwin down in 29th. Big missed opportunity. I think of those 8 or so drivers that we see below that cut line, below Logan, that I think we could whittle about half of them out of contention just based on poor running tonight. And there you go. There's how the points look live now. Alfala in an incident. He is now the bubble driver. Mullis, 10 points back. But look at Corey Vincent, Tim. I thought he would have gained more. 26 back. You see the big drop for the 24. 55 back. I mean, that is real time. Those are your live points. The implications of drivers being involved in some of these incidents.
And those are going to change a ton too. When you see no numbers beside the 99 and the 2 of Clampett and Alfala, they are tied for position number 7, so that would be on the bubble. And there goes another change for the 46, and there's 1 up for the 2, so they continue to change as they go through. So that's going to change another 19 times or so at least, given we don't have any overtime in this race. JP, what are you seeing down there on pit road as we get ready to go green with 18 to go?
A lot of damaged race cars, yes, but for when it comes to Clampett, he talked about pre-race, how he felt a little stress being on the bubble entering tonight, with where anything can happen at Daytona. The mindset this evening was the best he could without getting caught up in any of the messes. There's a lot of pressure here with the super speedways, with 2 of them in the closing stage of the regular season. He's kept his car clean tonight to stay in that top 10.
So that's kind of the story or the tale of the tape for a lot of drivers in this race. Michael Conti, somebody else who had mentioned that he is, down on horsepower. His top speed is way off, and he's just trying to kind of ride around. We're going to go on board here with Kane Cook. That's the number 55 machine. He's going to be P6 outside of row 3 for this restart. He's one of those drivers who has worked his way through the field, started back in 30th position at the start of the night. It'll be his onboard left, and the look at him on the right, you can see a lot of chatter on the radio as they lead up to the restart. Pace car going to be in as we look to take 18 laps to go.
Dude, they're already trying to wreck each other on the restart. Like, we're not even in 4th gear, and Novak's bouncing off Eric like a trampoline.
Clampett's 3 wide behind you.
Oh, they're shoving like 3 rows deep, guys. Like,
I don't know, it's time.
80, 83. not 99, 83. The whole field's killed. Like, it's just, let's have a little bit of points racing, FFS.
With Eric up here, you don't have a choice. It's going to be racing till the end, so.
I mean, I'm fine with that, but just like, there's no reason to be pushing 3 rows deep here. It's like, you're trying to ruin a top 10 day for yourself.
I feel ya.
Audie's about to go 3, and Corey's going to jump up with Clamp. Watch this shit.
So working hard on for the restart to stay in the picture. What we didn't see was a gutsy 3-wide move behind him. The 99 machine to Clamp it kind of squeezed the 54 of Alex McCollum out of a spot. They're back to 2x2 for now, but that was very aggressive driving by the 99. You see the 2 lanes, how there's a little bit of room in the middle, and they basically made that a lane to get a spot, and may not have made a friend in the 54 should he need a push a little bit later on. Some drivers go on the 3rd lane right now. It is just Malik Ray, Tim, and you can see what a different dynamic this pack is now than before the yellow. We went from about 9 cars in the lead draft to 23 right now.
And they're continuing to try to bait it. I saw Nick Ottinger, I think, look to the outside there for a moment to try to get that 3-wide movement going, because he's got to get back to the front of the field, as does Logan Clampett in behind him. But how do you try to move here in this pack, especially with these drivers all trying to go for the win? As you look at the track temperatures, it hasn't changed a whole lot. We started out with 76 degrees. It's fallen 1 degree when it comes to the ambient temperature. Track temperature still 77. So yes, we're into nighttime here, Evan, but the track temp really hasn't changed a lot.
It's not that bad, and kind of that middle portion, again, at a lot of the track, very high track temps over 100 degrees Fahrenheit as that 3rd lane starts to build some steam, but Ottinger not ready to commit to it, tucking it back in line, and I believe his teammate, the 97, Gorlinski, up top working with Malik Ray. But here at Daytona, the conversation has more so been about the wind and how that's blowing the guys around. Kind of gusty 8 to 10 miles an hour, going different directions. It really wreaked havoc in the qualifying session, and can be a little bit tricky if it changes directions when you're in a pack. But now we see those 2 cars on the outside leading that 3rd lane. That is the William Byron Esports duo of Ottinger and Gorlinski. They've got Malik Ray behind them at a JGR Toyota. But those teammates hooking up, trying to use that to their advantage here and coordinate something.
Yeah, they're the closest set of teammates here right now. As you look at that middle group right now, it's Eric Smith and Corey Vincent trying to take that middle lane to the front of the field as Bobby Zielinski continues to lead on that inside line with those William Byron Esports teammates on the outside, along with Malik Ray trying to bring it to the promised land. 87 complete here.
That's 2 guys top 10, and they both look very, I don't know if stoic is the right word, but I know that my heart would be beaten out of my chest, and they look pretty calm, cool, and collected being in this battle up at the front of the field. And I guess that's the key, is you can't panic when you're 3 wide like this, Tim. You have to keep under control.
Yeah, if you look at Eric Smith, he's the leader of that middle group. You're Corey Vincent. You're boxed in the middle right now. There's 8 other cars around you on either end. You can't go anywhere. If you're Eric Smith, you can't really go anywhere other than go to the front and make sure Corey Vincent gives you a little bit of a push and hope you get the momentum off the corner that outside line does not get. Zielinski continues to lead. That outside line gained a head of steam down the back straightaway. We'll see what they can do here as Eric Smith gets that push, that draft down into corner number 1. Can't get to the lead, but gets side by side with Bobby Zielinski for the moment.
And that's about, I think, as best as you're going to expect unless you get that physical push. The bottom lane is going to be the slowest lane. I always say it's kind of the opposite of the freeway. The passing lane is the further right you go. The slow lane is going to be on the bottom, but it's also the most secure lane. You're not going to lose a ton on the inside. So on the 77 of Bob Bryant, I'm in a pretty comfortable spot, 3rd on the bottom, but I can't really go anywhere. Car in front of me, car next to me, car behind me, I'm riding. at least for the 25 at the outside. Sure, there's a risk and a challenge to being on the third lane, but there's somewhere to go, and that's why you'll see some drivers clear for the race lead, but not opt to go to the bottom. If you wanted to hold control in the middle lane just to give them more options. But I think if the Honda Eric Smith he's pushed by Vincent, look at the move now by the 55 of Kane Cook. He'll go to the outside line. Now 4 cars strong. He's pushed by Ottinger, who bobbles and bails on his teammate. Ottinger dropping to the middle.
That was a great move for Kane Cook until Ottinger was going to that inside line, because Kane Cook wasn't going to win the race from position number 8. Make a move to try to put yourself in the lead, and Ottinger did the same thing. The only difference is he left Kane Cook high and dry on that outside line. Now he pushes Corey Vincent. You talked about drivers that are kind of helpless and can't move. How about a guy like Brad Davies or Alex McCollum in the middle? They can't make the move that they just did as you ride on board with Logan Clampett. And I believe that might be Nick Ottinger. He's somewhere in there. Oh, yeah, there he is, right down in the bottom corner.
Yeah, 2 very different setups. Again, we talked about maybe keeping the lights off to keep things cool. I think that's Nick there, hidden in the darkness on the inside. Logan Clampett, you can see the sim rig behind him. Doesn't look like it's getting as much use as before. I can't tell if Michael Conti is totally out of the car or if he is still in there and just trying to lap it around and get some laps. But I think Conti totally out of the sim rig behind him there after crashing out of this race earlier. We are now inside of 9 laps to go from Daytona. This is the home stretch. There is no more conserving. There is no more setting yourself up for the end of the race, because that point is now pushing for a race win at Daytona. Here comes the outside now. The 25 car of Ottinger. Kind of bailed, went to that middle line. Tim came back up now in front of Cook alongside Eric Smith, just as that run died out in turn 3. They're trying to get a run now out of 4.
Ottinger going to try to take that run on the outside. Eric Smith has been good on that middle groove. And then to the inside, Bobby Zielinski. Do you beat Bobby Zielinski at Daytona? They couldn't do it 2 weeks ago, and it seems to be hard here as you get a couple of more drivers coming off of pit road. The 55 and Kane Cook still on that outside, though, giving a shot to Ottinger as you see Bob Bryant and Matt Busa on the inside. They're 3rd and 4th in that inside groove.
And you can see a little bit of lap traffic up the road as well. That's going to be Ray Alfala, heavily damaged. We saw Keegan Leahy as lap traffic get swallowed up a little bit earlier tonight by holding the bottom. Is Ray going to decide to stay low, or is he try somehow to get out of the way? Because these guys are using up every single inch of the racetrack inside of the outside. Now 7 laps to go. They get around the 2. Who got down onto the apron to get out of the way, and we are 3 wide for the race lead. Zielinski leads the bottom, Smith leads the middle, and it is Nick Ottinger on the outside wall.
Ottinger in the 25 had a great run down the tri-oval. You got more help there from the 54 of Alex McCollum in behind. If they can get one more car to hop up to that outside, I think they're going to be good. But here comes Eric Smith. What a run for the 9 car down the back straightaway with help from Corey Vincent, trying to take the lead away from Bobby Zielinski, but Zielinski still holding that inside line. They'll come by this time, complete 94 laps, and the outside line loses Kane Cook.
And Kane Cook now going to go to the middle. Same thing that we saw out of Ottinger a couple of laps ago. So watch Cook. He may not stay there. He may just wait until he gets around the 25 on the outside and then pulls back up in front of him. That would be basically the same thing that Ottinger did to him, but it has really discombobulated the 3rd lane. It is totally falling apart up there. A lot of space. You can see Malik Ray trying to get to a 3rd lane. McCollum now squeaking back to the bottom, and now it is only the 25 Chevy of Ottinger up there.
You almost think if you're Corey Vincent, you kind of hold the key to the outside line. If you can get 1 or 2 more cars up there, get that run, move to the outside, and try to go 3 wide and take the lead, that might be the move. But that inside line moves through this tri-oval as they continue to work around. JP coming down to the end. What are you thinking?
Now keep in mind, one of the main things to think about is a majority of the laps were led earlier by Nick Ottinger. Only 4 times in the history of the series at Daytona has the winner led the most laps. Dale Jr. in the inaugural race, Adam Gilliland, Nick Ottinger himself in 2018, Keegan Leahy. In other words, this could come down to the wire for someone who may lead only a couple laps in this race.
But it's funny, Tim, you compare the guys up front. Bobby Zalenski started on pole as he tries to squeeze to the outside. Novak, a half block, can't do it. Here comes Zalenski, who started up front, has ran up front all night, and now pushed by Smith, clears Zach Novak, who had the charge through the field from position 34. It doesn't matter how it started, it only matters how you end it, and inside of 5 laps to go now.
And Novak had that opening to take that advantage as you ride on board with Malik Ray. If something happens, Malik Ray is going to be right there to capitalize. Eric Smith gets that push on the outside from the 27 of Corey Vincent. Ottinger still hanging on that third groove. I still think if Corey Vincent, they can get a couple of more up there, Evan. I think Corey Vincent might be in the driver's seat as they come down this time to complete lap number 97, 3 to go.
Oh, and a little bit loose there. He ended up on the third lane, but it wasn't on purpose. He got into the back of Smith, then he got hit by the 99 of Clampett, put him up 3 wide. Keep in mind, how aggressive are you willing to push? We've seen at least 1 car up front blow up tonight, maybe 2. So even with the nighttime and cooler conditions, it doesn't mean that they're keeping these engines any cooler than what we saw in the season opener in February. And look at Smith now. He's mirror driving. Block that outside down the super stretch. Now back in front of the 27. Vincent, I'm sure he feels like he may be in the catbird seat. This time by popsicle sticks in the air. It is 2 laps to go.
And we've got to 3 wide racing. They've got to get back to the white flag in order to make this thing official. Kane Cook has a head of steam. He's got Ottinger and Alex McCollum in behind him. The high side is making it work. Can they pick up 1 more car? Get that head of steam. Down the back straightaway. Look at Kane Cook to the outside.
He's got the speed. He'll have the advantage into turn 3, but can he clear on the inside? He's good for Smith. He'll step down to the middle, but he can't get all the way to the inside. Bobby Zalenski still holds that lead, so Zalenski low. The 55 of Cook now going back to the outside, opens the door for Eric Smith. White flag, 1 lap to go, presented by iRacing.
They got the 1 to go, Evan, but who comes back around with the win? Look at Cook. Cook on the outside with help from Ottinger, but he can't clear to the inside. 3 wide for the lead, the 9 of Eric Smith, the 83 of Bobby Zalenski. Don't count out Zach Novak if something happens. Down the back straightaway for the final time.
Dead heat, all 3 lanes for the final time to turn number 3. Zalenski going to have the shorter way around, but watch for the runs by Smith in the middle and Kane Cook 3 wide on the outside. Final time at a turn 4. A drag race to the start-finish line. Zalenski pushed by Novak, gonna get a nose in front.
My shit.
And Bobby Zalenski
control that whole fucking race.
Sweeps the summer trip to Daytona, winning on the road course and winning on the super speedway.
Oh, baby. I controlled the shit out of that.
You can crack a smile.
What a car. Whew.
Yeah, the
What's
good
up?
thing is we can win even
Huh?
without a speedboat.
All right. Yeah.
And as he celebrates on the front straightaway, this winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Tim, just like they did in February, they wrecked across the line, but Eric Smith on the door couldn't make it happen at the end. They crashed coming across, and for all the success that Bobby Zalenski has seen in this Cup Series, we talk about the domination on the road courses, now cashing in on an oval.
He's been consistent on these ovals to keep him up in championship contention, but this is going to be huge. We mentioned those playoff drivers, some of them around Bobby Zalenski having some bad nights. This is going to help his cushion, and momentum, huge in this sport. It's going to be big for Bobby Zalenski.
And let's take a look at our Coca-Cola move of the race, and it is this run to the checkered flag. We saw Kane Cook get to the middle, but then go back to the outside. So it opened it up for Eric Smith. Watch the second cars in line. Zach Novak going to give Zalenski a huge push here that gives it to him.
Yeah, you see that run coming out of corner number 4. Everybody's trying to get to the start-finish line, get what they can, and it's all led by Bobby Zalenski. Bob Bryant goes to the inside. Hard hit for Kane Cook on the outside. What could have been for that 55?
I believe they were 5 wide for position 5 coming across the start-finish line behind them as the 77 of Bryant went to the apron to get a little bit more, and then at that point it was everybody for themselves as Eric Smith knew that he was going to be a little bit short. Didn't door him. Those race leaders kept it clean to the end, but that is a lot of critical championship points, whether you're in the battle for the top 8 to make the playoffs or the battle for the top 20 to avoid relegation. If you survived the carnage tonight at Daytona, you get a big, big boost with now just 3 weeks left in the regular season. Let's go trackside and chat with your race winner. It is the driver of the number 83 Chevrolet for Team VRS, Bobby Zalenski, sweeping the summer trip to Daytona. Bobby, I know that you had a lot of confidence going into the road course race and executed business as usual there, but to start tonight by getting your 3rd pole here this year and then getting the checkered flag done, what's it mean for you?
Oh, this was fantastic, and I had a great car prepared to me from VRS and Coanda. Oh man, it feels good to win on an oval. Like holy crap, it's been 3 years since I won an oval, and it was Daytona. It's super special. We were really close to winning the one in February with and we pushed Keegan to it. And this one got a good push from Zach. Got to thank him for that. And that whole last bit, I was just trying to control the race as much as I could just to stay in the lead because I was confident in my car and I was confident in the positioning on the bottom with how I could just control the pace. And Zach got by me there, and I made a move, got back by him, and I was hyped after that one. Oof.
We jumped in on the radio with you, so we could tell that you were pretty excited at the end of that one. You talk about trying to control lanes. I mean, you guys are 3 wide for the lead. You're leading the bottom, and all you could really do is hold it down there and hope that Donnie gives you a shove. Eric was in the middle. Kane was up top. Do you think in that situation that leading that very inside lane was the best place to be?
Yeah, I do. I for sure do, because Zach's really good at also managing his temperatures. So down the back, he gave a gap to me, and I was kind of holding steady with the other 2 rows, and I felt really good at that point because I'm like, oh, he's coming. He's not going to hold back. He's going to push off 4 here, and that's exactly what happened. He got a big run through 3 and 4, and he just gave me the push I needed. And oh man, I went at Daytona two times in a row. I mean, we got the pole every time, all 3 times here at Daytona, and we got 3rd in the first one, won the last 2. Like, that's crazy. I love this place, and I mean, what a great racing facility, sim and real life, of course. Man, I'm just happy.
Yeah, a lot of people fear when Daytona comes up on the calendar, and it was a dominating show all year for Bobby Zalenski. 2 race wins, 3 pole positions. Not a bad trip to Daytona Beach in 2020 for your race winner, Bobby Zalenski. Tim Terry, other side of that conversation, so close to a race win for Eric Smith, missed it by 0.028 seconds, and you're talking with him now.
Yeah, Eric Smith comes home in position number 2. Eric, it's not a win here at Daytona, but by the smile on your face, you have to be happy with this run tonight. Talk about this race at Daytona.
Yeah, it was crazy. Just battling with everybody up there. The cars were really unstable in the air, and it was just a lot of fun battling with Bobby and Zach and Corey up there again. Got to thank everybody at Team Slip Angle and everybody with Jim Bieber Esports and Big Green Egg. Those guys were giving me a lot of support going into today. Today's my birthday. I was hoping to get a win, but second place will do, and all those points that come with it will be really good for our push in the top 20 to make next year. So thanks again to all those guys. Congratulations to Bobby on his back-to-back wins. And I just love coming to Daytona. It's just a great place to race. Happy to finish second even to Bobby and in front of the series champ.
You mentioned on points, looking to try to get to that top 20. How big of a boost is this trying to get to the end of the season, trying to get into the top 20 so we don't have to go back to the Pro Series?
Yeah, this is such a wild card track that a lot of guys that were near that cut line or the people that I'm racing against got quite a good chunk of points as well. I'll be interested to see how the points shake out after this. But the whole time that I was out there, I wasn't points racing. I was going for the win the whole time. So, as much as I wanted to think about points and to, keep the car clean and make sure that I wasn't making any crazy moves, I kind of had a hunch that Bobby was going to go down to the apron off of 4. And so for the last 3 or 4 laps there, I was actually planning to get by Novak to cut down immediately as soon as I saw Bobby go down and see if I could get a push. We saw Keegan do that in the February race. And, Keegan and Bobby they work well together on setups and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bobby and Keegan had talked about that. But Bobby held his line, kept the push from Novak, and it was just a good push fight to the end. And it's just crazy, like I said. So
I do have to ask you about the light, though. Goes pretty well with your sponsor, Big Green Egg. I kind of like the color motif going on here.
Yeah, no, I've just recently moved into a new place and figured I'd get some new light bulbs for the ambiance for the race to kind of shout out Big Green Egg. So big shout out to them again. Thanks again for being on the car and helping Jim Beaver Esports out with this effort.
Great finish tonight. No, by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's Eric Smith coming home with position number 2. Evan, what a show put on by that 9. He needed that run. Big boost of momentum there.
Yeah, and you also heard that he referenced coming home in front of the defending champ because we are trackside with P3 tonight, Zach Novak. And Zach, what a drive way back from 34th to 3rd. I know you would like to put that Sunoco Toyota in victory lane, but talk us through this race.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to go to victory lane, but sometimes you just got to think big picture. And right there when I got the lead, about 3-4 to go, I could have blocked that middle line and tried to win it, but I wasn't really too keen on getting myself wrecked and potentially losing that thing and losing good points. So I'm really happy with 3rd, especially starting back in 34th. I mean, we had a really, really good car tonight. Had a really good Q setup too. As weird as that sounds, qualifying 34th, but got hit with a really bad headwind down the back, and unfortunately that started us that far back. But great strategy by Logan Sheets all night. Great setup by Logan Sheets as well, and that put us in a good position to go win that thing at the end.
And I know that, this is probably the track that is the most difficult to walk that line between going for points and also trying to be up and in the mix as you continue to race for points. Have you guys kind of flipped the switch to the point where this is now a focus on fighting for the top 20, or are you still keeping some faint playoff hopes alive with 3 weeks left?
I mean, we'd pretty much have to win out to have a chance at the playoffs. So as much as I'd love to do that, that's with my speed I've had this year, that's just not really realistic. So, I like I said, I'd love to, but and we're going to work for that. But realistically, at this point, I'm just aiming for the top 20 and aiming to go win races. And it's been a struggle for me this year, obviously, and winning 4 races last year and then not having a win, 12, 13 races in is definitely weird to me. It sucks that I haven't been able to get Richmond Raceway Esports into victory lane yet, but 3 top 5s on the season so far is nothing to be too sad about. Just haven't had the overall finishes that we need, but really happy with this one tonight. P3 puts us top 20 in points, I believe, so just got to keep chipping away at it and show up with a little bit more speed in the car and in the driver for mile and a halves.
And a lot of races still to go this year, and in those playoffs as well. Could be a spoiler trying to go for wins. That's P3, Zach Novak. Big thanks to our top 3 finishers for chatting with us, Bobby Zelensky, Eric Smith, and Zach. And Tim, let's take a look at the championship standings because we talked about what it was like coming into this evening, how close it was on the bubble, and a lot of those close playoff drivers had some big issues tonight. As we take a look at our finishing results here from this evening, you'll notice, big gains. Eric Smith, Zach Novak, Zelensky already a top driver of the championship. He'll likely take the championship lead after Keegan Leahy had the issues. But for the likes of McCollum, Kane Cook, those drivers fighting for either the playoff bubble or even a relegation bubble, even these drivers, if you made it to the end, invaluable points.
You know, Busa and Blake Reynolds were through the grass, I think 4 laps or 5 laps into this race, Evan, and they still come home with top 15 finishes apiece, and that's big for their point standings as well. Graham Bolin, 18th place, and he was fighting around that bubble. We'll see those points in a second, but you look down there, there's some drivers. Keegan Leahy got 2 of those laps back, but he ends up in 26, lost a little bit of that cushion.
It's a tough break for him, but of course now, Tim, we look forward as we see the final slot at our results to what's still to come. There are 3 races left in the regular season, and with Talladega looming as the regular season finale, what's the game plan got to be as we head to Darlington in 2 weeks and then Las Vegas after that?
I think Ryan Luza hit the nail on the head. You got to get as many points as you can to go into that wild card, that unpredictability. We saw Ryan Luza have trouble tonight. Keegan Leahy had trouble tonight. Michael Conti had issues tonight. You know, those guys that are up there, they need to have a little bit of that cushion. Those 3 that I just mentioned lost a little bit here tonight. But Bobby Zelensky, he padded it up, and he's going to be the point leader heading into 2 weeks' time.
And that'll do it for us here tonight from Daytona as round number 13 falls into our rear view mirror. But thank you for tuning in on behalf of our entire team at NASCAR and iRacing, all the folks downstairs in the production trailer, including Sean Ambrose, Jay Kennedy, James Pike, Dougie Hunt, Cisco Scaramouche, Drew Adams, and everybody else at iRacing HQ. For Justin Prince on Pit Road, Tim Terry, and myself, Evan Pasoka, thanks for tuning in, and congratulations to Bobby Zelensky. We'll see you 3 weeks' time, Tuesday, September 15th, from the virtual Darlington Raceway. That race and every race of the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively on the iRacing Sports Network and streaming live at eNASCAR.com. Until next time, good night from Daytona.